Hello there, you're watching the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor and here are the latest headlines. BJP to announce next Chief Minister of Gujarat to succeed Anandiben Patel. Nitin Patel among front runners. India delivers blunt message to Pakistan, asks us to stop encouraging terror groups and glorifying terrorists. Home Minister briefs Prime Minister after tense 24-hour visit to Islamabad for SAARC Interior Ministers Conference. Sushma Swaraj informs Parliament of Saudi King's assurance of assistance to Indian workers stuck in Gulf Kingdom. VK Singh meets a Saudi Labour Minister. Najib Jung wins war against Arvind Kejriwal. Delhi High Court clarifies as per the Constitution of India, the Union Territory will be headed by the Lieutenant Governor. And Maharashtra government orders judicial probe into Mahad Bridge collapse tragedy. 14 bodies recovered so far from Savitri River after 2 buses and some private vehicles were swept away. The big story after Rajya Sabha passed the GST bill, the government has unveiled a detailed roadmap for the implementation of the historic tax regime with the target of 1st of April 2017 for the rollout of the goods and services tax. Here are all the details.
A day after the Rajya Sabha approved the historic constitution amendment bill, paving way for a complete overhaul of the indirect tax regime in the country, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley praised the role of the state governments in making it possible.
The role of the state governments was extremely positive. More and more state governments felt that this would help their revenues. We were accommodative of various views, but without compromising on the fundamentals of the bill.
He also listed the benefits of the new GST regime, saying that although the rates will be decided by the GST Council, they will be optimized.
Once the GST is rolled out, doing business in India would be easier. It would help a very large body of traders, business people, also the citizens.
The Finance Minister also expressed hope that the process to implement GST will be completed soon.
आगे जो रोड मैप है, हम लोग प्रयास करेंगे कि शीघ्र से शीघ्र उसको पूरा करके जो प्रक्रिया चल रही है, इसको लागू किया जाए. लोकसभा की दृष्टि से हम लोगों ने नोटिस दे दिया है, क्योंकि कुछ जो अमेंडमेंट्स एडिशनल की है राज्यसभा ने, वो लोकसभा में जानी होंगी. उसके बाद देश की 29 विधानसभाओं में ये जाएगा. हमारा तो टारगेट होगा कि अगले सत्र में जो विशेष कानून लाने हैं, उन कानूनों को हम संसद के समक्ष ले आएं.
Once implemented, the GST will subsume various taxes including excise, services tax, octroi and other levies, and the proceeds will be shared between the centre and states. Vishal Dayya's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, the opposition parties on Thursday started a signature campaign to mount pressure on the government to not roll out the goods and services tax as a money bill. The opposition, including former Finance Minister P. Chidambaram and Sitaram Yechuri, had demanded an assurance from the Finance Minister on Wednesday that the bill would be introduced as finance bills that would need to be debated and voted in both houses of Parliament and not as a money bill to avoid voting in Rajya Sabha, where the government does not have a majority. The Congress party also accused Prime Minister Narendra Modi of committing contempt of Parliament by not being present in either Rajya Sabha or Lok Sabha during the passage of the GST bill.
बीजेपी चाहती है कि जीएसटी रेट राज्यों को फायदा पहुंचाए, जीएसटी रेट उद्योग जगत को फायदा पहुंचाए, पर कांग्रेस पार्टी चाहती है कि जीएसटी रेट देश की जनता को फायदा पहुंचाए. कोई ऐसा संशोधन नहीं हुआ है प्रधानमंत्री के अनुपस्थिति में। और जीएसटी विधेयक पारित होना, हमने ट्विटर पर पढ़ा है प्रधानमंत्री ने क्या कहा है, पर लोकसभा में मौजूद नहीं थे, राज्यसभा में मौजूद नहीं थे। ऐसा लगता है कि पार्लियामेंट प्रधानमंत्री मुक्त हो गया है।
Meanwhile, Rajya Sabha also discussed the Uttarakhand and Arunachal Pradesh political crises on Thursday, where the BJP and the Congress accused each other of misusing Article 356 over the years. The regional parties, however, called for a review of the appointment, role and powers of the governor.
Rajya Sabha on Thursday witnessed a heated discussion over the dismissal of Congress governments in Arunachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand, bringing the governors of the two states under the lens. Congress alleged that BJP-led government at the centre was trampling democracy. The Congress pressed for a statement from Prime Minister on the issue and demanded sacking of both the governors.
A governor is not supposed to meddle in politics or to undermine an elected government in office. But unfortunately, that has happened, which is a brazen violation of the constitution of our country.
हम चाहेंगे और ये हम मांग करना चाहते हैं कि प्रधानमंत्री आके यहाँ स्पष्टीकरण करें कि क्यों ऐसा हुआ और इस देश से माफी मांगे, इस देश से माफी मांगे और उस गवर्नर को बर्खास्त करें, ये हमारी मांग है।
वहां पर जिस तरह से 356 आर्टिकल का प्रयोग किया, उसकी स्क्रिप्ट ना देहरादून में लिखी गई थी, ना उत्तराखंड में लिखी गई थी, उसकी स्क्रिप्ट यही दिल्ली में लिखी गई थी।
Minister of State for Home Affairs Kiran Rijiju was disrupted by the Congress, which said it cannot allow him to speak as he was allegedly involved in the toppling of Arunachal Pradesh government. Rijiju said the protest was unfortunate and exposes the hollowness of the Congress party.
We are not involved in either it is Uttarakhand or Arunachal Pradesh, but it is the internal matter of the Congress party. If anybody has to apologize to the nation, it is the Congress party. By creating unnecessary issue out of the whole situation, what is the internal matter of the Congress party?
The government hit back, saying that the Congress has itself misused Article 356 about 100 times.
Our government is forced to take these steps both in Uttaranchal and Arunachal because of our internal problems, where you yourself has created a constitutional situation which has been exposed and vindicated also subsequently, where the Chief Minister has to resign before seeking trial of strength in spite of being given opportunity to be a Chief Minister.
During the debate, several members questioned the need for having a governor and sought a review of the article under which governors are appointed.
मैं आपसे निवेदन करता हूं हमारे सभी ऑनरेबल मेंबर से कि इस गंभीर विषय को और भी चर्चा करें, विस्तार से चर्चा करें और इसको रिव्यू किया जाए whether Article 356 will be there or not.
हम चाहते हैं सर्वोच्च न्यायालय का, हाई कोर्ट का, राज्यपाल वालों के लिए जो निर्णय सुनाया गया है उस पर अमल होगा।
जो कुछ आपने उत्तराखंड और अरुणाचल में किया वो सत्ता की अनियंत्रित भूख को प्रकट करता है और कुछ नहीं, उसकी कोई जरूरत नहीं थी आपको करने की। अगर आप इतिहास को देखेंगे तो इस तरह की दुर्लभ राजनीतिक मूर्खता का उदाहरण मैंने कहीं नहीं देखा।
How come governors became catalysts and agents to promote such constitutional political disruptions? And now time has come, we will have to discuss the role of governors.
सरकार को भी ये कहना चाहूँगा कि भविष्य में कहीं कभी गवर्नर हो इस तरीके से काम ना करे जिससे कि वहाँ के जुड़ी हुई सरकार को तोड़ा जाए और एक सरकार बनाने की कोशिश किया जाए।
India, a truly federal governor appointment today becoming a tools of the ruling party. If democracy want to prevail, such misuse to be stopped.
The special provisions relating to Arunachal Pradesh under Article 371H also do not empower the governor to act in inexplicable and brazenly partisan manner in which he has acted.
We need the post called governors for the states. It is time we have to rethink this, or at least we have to think about what the powers which they are going to hold.
Kiran Rijiju also accused Congress of misleading the House, saying that the Uttarakhand governor was appointed by the UPA government and Arunachal Pradesh governor Tathagat Roy was never aligned with any of the political parties or any ideology. Panchanan Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
On to some other news, and Home Minister Rajnath Singh has accused the Stark platform to target Pakistan over the Pathankot and 26/11 terror attacks that were both planned and masterminded by Pakistan-based terrorist groups. Now, addressing the SARC Home Ministers Conference in Islamabad, Rajnath Singh said that no type of terrorism or support to it could be justified and called for immediate and effective action against all those who support or encourage international terrorism. But it was not just his speech that added to the tension. Here are all the details.
Home Minister Rajnath Singh on Thursday delivered a tough message to Pakistan. Indian media reports claimed that the speech was blacked out by the state-run Pakistan TV, which was the only media allowed to cover the conference. Responding to the Home Minister's tense 24-hour visit to Pakistan, Union Minister Venkaiah Naidu criticized Pakistan in Delhi.
That is Pakistan model of democracy. Pakistan model of democracy.
In Islamabad, addressing reporters after the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation Interior Affairs Secretary meeting, Home Secretary Rajiv Mehrishi informed that India will host the SARC anti-terror meeting on September 22nd to 23rd.
भारत ने ये भी ऑफर किया कि जो SARC एंटी टेररिज्म की जो बैठक होनी है amongst various anti-terror forces of each country, उनकी बैठक 22-23 सितंबर को इंडिया में होगी और इसके लिए सभी देशों ने सहमति दी.
India has offered to train personnel from other SARC nations in drug control activities. Among the issues discussed at the SARC meeting in Islamabad, the Mutual Legal Assistance Treaty to pave way for smoother extradition of militants and human trafficking was also discussed.
इसमें आम सहमति से कई विषयों पर चर्चा हुई, विशेषकर टेररिज्म के ऊपर, और टेररिज्म के अंदर भी विशेषकर SARC टेररिस्ट ऑफेंसेस मॉनिटरिंग डेस्क और SARC ड्रग ऑफेंसेस मॉनिटरिंग डेस्क को शीघ्र से शीघ्र स्थापित करने में सभी देशों से निवेदन किया गया कि जिन देशों ने अभी तक इसके लिए सहमति नहीं दी है वे इसके लिए शीघ्र सहमति दें.
Home Minister Rajnath Singh's visit to Islamabad also saw anti-India protests in various cities by globally designated terrorists like Hizbul Mujahideen Saeed Salahuddin and 26/11 mastermind Hafiz Saeed of the Lashkar-e-Taiba, who is a free individual in Pakistan. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And an External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj stated in Lok Sabha on Thursday that the King of Saudi Arabia has assured all assistance to thousands of Indian workers who are stuck in the Gulf Kingdom. The Saudi administration was also making arrangements to provide food and other assistance to the workers. Meanwhile, the central government has denied Kerala Minister K.T. Jalil and a diplomatic passport to visit Saudi Arabia. Remember, Jalil was deputed by the Kerala government to visit Saudi Arabia and facilitate the return of migrants who are in trouble following layoffs in the construction firms. External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj on Thursday informed the Lok Sabha that the King of Saudi Arabia has assured all help to thousands of laid-off Indian workers stranded in his country. Swaraj said that the King has also given orders to resolve the issue within 2 days.
ये बताते हुए कि जो बात हमने यहाँ कही थी, सऊदी अथॉरिटीज़ ने उसका तुरंत संज्ञान लिया और सऊदी नरेश स्वयं सलमान बिन अल अजीज साहब ने ये निर्देश दिया कि 2 दिन के अंदर अंदर इस समस्या का समाधान हो जाना चाहिए. तो उन्होंने ये मान लिया कि हर वर्कर यहाँ आने से पहले अपना इंडिविजुअल क्लेम यानी व्यक्तिगत तौर पर अपना क्लेम फाइल करके आए. उसके बाद इंडियन एम्बेसी रियाद के साथ उनका श्रम कार्यालय, उनका लेबर ऑफिस बैठेगा और सारे क्लेम्स को सेटल करेगा. भारत आने के बाद भी उनका पैसा उनको यहाँ आकर के मिल जाएगा.
Earlier, Minister of State for External Affairs V.K. Singh visited Riyadh to meet Saudi Labour Minister Mufreet Al-Haqbani. Singh said the Saudi government had provided assurances that it would resolve the crisis and ensure workers' financial claims were pursued even if the workers returned home.
I think you can't have more magnanimity and large-heartedness than this. I would sincerely request through you all to project this in the correct light and to bring it out that things are not as bad as they have been shown and projected.
What happens is just one company did unaccepted, mistake, and we already directed by the custodian of Victoria Mosque to take all the measures to solve it on the expense of Saudi Arabia, and yesterday we already contracted.
Meanwhile, the centre has denied Kerala Minister K.T. Jalil a diplomatic passport to visit Saudi Arabia. The CPM-led government had deputed Jalil to visit Saudi Arabia and facilitate the return of migrants who are in trouble following layoffs in construction firms. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. On to news from Gujarat, where the BJP will announce the name of the next Chief Minister of the state to succeed Anandiben Patel. Now, BJP's Parliamentary Board accepted Anandiben Patel's offer to resign at its meeting in Delhi, paving the way for appointment of a new Chief Minister to lead the party in the 2017 Assembly polls. Now, a meeting of party MLAs and office bearers will be held today evening at the BJP headquarters in Gandhinagar, where the next Chief Minister would be announced. Now, BJP President Amit Shah had arrived in Ahmedabad in morning on Thursday and had held meetings with the state BJP leaders and ministers at his house. Health Minister Nitin Patel, who is considered to be the front runner for the job, was also present during the meet. More news from Gujarat, where Dalit leaders will be organizing a foot march from Ahmedabad to Una town today in protest against the brutality against 4 Dalits. Now, beating of 4 Dalits by cow vigilance for skinning a dead cow has triggered massive protests in the state and elsewhere. BSP Supremo Mayawati addressed a Dalit gathering after meeting the family members of the victims in Ahmedabad on Thursday. She launched a severe attack on the Prime Minister and the RSS, alleging that Muslims and Dalits are being targeted in the name of cow protection. Mayawati asked Dalit community to form an alliance with Muslims and try to form a government in Gujarat. The BJP hit back at Mayawati, saying that she is milking the issue for political benefits.
केंद्र में बीजेपी के नेतृत्व में सरकार चल रही है। देश के जिन भी राज्यों में बीजेपी के नेतृत्व में सरकार चल रही है, तो वहां पूरे देश के अंदर और खास तौर से भाजपा शासित राज्यों में जो दलित वर्ग के लोग हैं, खासकर दलित वर्ग के लोग हैं, उनका हर स्तर पर बड़े पैमाने पर उत्पीड़न किया जा रहा है।
मायावती दलित अत्याचार के इशू को लेकर वहां गई, अच्छी बात है कि उनको दलित पीड़ितों को मतलब जाकर मिलने का पूरा अधिकार है, क्योंकि ऊना में मतलब दलित नौजवानों की पिटाई हुई थी। लेकिन मैं मायावती को इतना बताना चाहता हूं कि मायावती इसकी राजनीति ना करे, खाली बीजेपी पर आरोप करने के लिए वहां भेंट देकर बीजेपी को बदनाम करने की कोशिश ना करे। हम अत्याचार का समर्थन नहीं करते।
Well, time to slip into a very short break. We'll be back with more news. Stay with us.
The last 100 years, all of us got addicted to fossil fuels. If we wait another 20 years, then the Earth's climate will be changing so rapidly that whatever we do or don't do will not help us. We have to start making changes now to transform the society which depends less on coal, oil and gas and more on solar and wind.
Watch Eureka with Professor J. Srinivasan, Honorary Professor, Centre for Atmospheric and Oceanic Sciences, Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru, only on Rajya Sabha TV.
Welcome back after the break. Now, Delhi High Court has given its verdict on the long turf war between Delhi's Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal and the Lieutenant Governor Najib Jung, ruling in favour of the Lieutenant Governor and declaring him to be the administrative head of the Delhi NCR. Now, this order comes as a huge setback to the AAP government, which now aims to move the apex court.
कुछ दिनों से ये मझधार में थे लोग कि दिल्ली सरकार दिल्ली स्टेट की तरह मानी जाएगी कि उसको लेफ्टिनेंट गवर्नर से परमिशन ली जाएगी, तो जो 239 आर्टिकल अनुच्छेद 239 कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का है उसमें यह कहा गया है कि जो भी यूनियन टेरिटरी है उसको गवर्नर या लेफ्टिनेंट गवर्नर से परमिशन लेके अपनी अप्रूवल लेके जो भी पॉलिसी मैटर्स हैं, जो भी इंक्वायरी कमीशन है वो और कोई सर्विस मैटर है वो आपको करना पड़ेगा.
The Delhi High Court has ruled that the Lieutenant Governor is the head of Delhi as the national capital is a union territory. This is as per the Constitution of India. The court also ruled that the AAP government's contention to act on the advice of its Council of Ministers was without substance.
We in this office and my colleagues who are all around me have tried to stay with the Constitution in its spirit, in all the conventions that have been set over the years, to the letter and the ideology as perpetuated in the Constitution of India.
Without the approval of LG, the cabinet or the Delhi government cannot pass any order. So the court has accepted our contention and court has struck down those notifications issued, and court has directly said that it is a totally illegal and unconstitutional.
With this order, the Lieutenant Governor gets absolute power in appointing bureaucrats in the national capital. The court also quashed several notifications issued by the AAP government, saying they were illegal as they were issued without concurrence of the Lieutenant Governor. Meanwhile, the AAP government now plans to challenge the order, saying their fight is for democracy, not supremacy.
ये एलजी वर्सेस चीफ मिनिस्टर की लड़ाई नहीं है. ये लड़ाई इस बात की है कि लोकतंत्र में हमारे संविधान में जो वी द पीपल से शुरू होता है, वी द पीपल की चलेगी, चुने हुए लोगों की चलेगी या सेलेक्टेड लोगों की चलेगी. वी द पीपल से इलेक्टेड लोगों की चलेगी या सेलेक्टेड लोगों की चलेगी. इस बात की लड़ाई है. और ये एक बुनियादी क्वेश्चन है जिसको हम लेके सुप्रीम कोर्ट जाएंगे और सुप्रीम कोर्ट से हमें पूरी उम्मीद है कि वहां संविधान के दायरे में सारी व्यवस्था उस पर प्रकाश डालेंगे.
However, the opposition parties have welcomed the order.
निश्चित रूप से कोर्ट की जो टिप्पणी है अब उनको कानून को मानना पड़ेगा और कानून के तहत ही राज करना पड़ेगा. और उससे पहले भी शासन दिल्ली में रहा है. इस तरह की कभी अराजकता, इस तरह की कभी क्राइसिस नहीं खड़ा हुआ.
देखिए, right from day one I have been repeatedly telling that Delhi is a union territory and not a state. These people don't understand. They say we are state government, we are state government. There are 29 states in India and Delhi is not one of the states. So the position remains same, that it is a union territory and there are 7 union territories, Delhi is one of them.
The Delhi government had approached the court alleging that it was unable to function as most of its decisions were either annulled or changed by the union government at the behest of the Lieutenant Governor. Thursday's order came in response to that. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And our correspondent Anu Devana spoke with Lieutenant Governor Najib Jung after the verdict. Let's listen in.
कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन अपनी जगह है और केंद्र जो और हाई कोर्ट के ऑर्डर ने सिर्फ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की स्थिति को स्पष्ट किया है और वो ये है कि दिल्ली एक यूनियन टेरिटरी है, स्टेट नहीं है और इसलिए जितने मसले हैं उनका अंतिम फैसला जो है वो राज्यपाल के पास आएगा.
सर, ये लड़ाई जो है पिछले 2 साल से चलती रही है. जब से केजरीवाल सरकार आई है वो आपके ऊपर आरोप भी लगाती है कि आप केंद्र सरकार के इशारे पर काम करते हैं. तो अब ये समझें कि कहीं ना कहीं ये जो लड़ाई थी ये यहीं खत्म होती है और अब एलजी और दिल्ली सरकार मिलकर दिल्ली वालों के लिए काम करेंगे.
ये सवाल आप उनसे पूछिए, मेरी तरफ से कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है.
सर, एक सवाल और, जिस तरह से जो नोटिफिकेशन दिल्ली सरकार ने इशू किए थे हाई कोर्ट ने उनको भी अवैध करार कर दिया है. अब आगे का अगर हम कहें तो इसके आगे का स्टेप क्या है?
कोई स्टेप नहीं है. जो अवैध है वो अवैध है, वो अवैध हो गया.
And Maharashtra government has ordered a judicial probe into the Mahad Bridge collapse tragedy. The tragedy is turning out to be a massive one, with 14 bodies having been recovered from the Savitri River so far. The rescue operations were launched after 2 buses and some private vehicles got swept away following the collapse of the British-era bridge on Tuesday night. Now, 22 people were travelling in 2 buses. Nearly 28 Marine Commandos, 100 NDRF personnel and 25 Coast Guard personnel have been pressed into service and carry out the search and rescue operation since yesterday. Let's now get you some international news. Here is the World Wrap. Nepal's new Maoist Prime Minister Prachanda named a minority leader to the key position of Home Minister in his first appointment on Thursday, seeking reconciliation after months of protest by Southern Plains folk over a new constitution. The 61-year-old former rebel commander has promised to tackle the grievances of the Madheshi minority that demands a greater say in the central government by amending the constitution adopted last September. US President Barack Obama has asserted that America and its allies will continue to target the Islamic State aggressively across all fronts as he vowed to be relentless in the fight against the terror group. He said on ground in Iraq, the local forces keep pushing Islamic State back, and in a major success, Iraqi forces with coalition support finally liberated Fallujah. A Senate impeachment committee on Thursday voted to put a suspended Brazilian President Dilma Rousseff on trial in the full chamber for breaking budget laws, opening the way for her to be removed from office. The 21-member committee voted 14-5 to try Rousseff for allegedly manipulating government accounts to allow more public spending in the run-up to her 2014 re-election. The Senate will vote next Tuesday on whether to accept the charges and begin the trial that should reach a verdict at the end of this month. Tens of thousands of students protesters denouncing the government's education reforms descended on the Chilean capital of Santiago on Thursday, ending again in clashes with the police. Clashes erupted between protesters and police when the demonstration reached Santa Rosa, Santiago Avenue. Police responded to protesters throwing rocks with tear gas and water cannons. March organizers denounced the violence. Time now for some sporting action. Here is Sports Beat. Noted sports promoter and founder chairperson of Reliance Foundation, Neeta Ambani has been elected as an individual member of International Olympic Committee. She becomes the first Indian woman to join the prestigious board which governs Olympic sports in the world. Ambani was nominated in June by the IOC Executive Board. She is the only current active individual member of the IOC from India and will serve at the high-profile world body until she attains the age of 70. All 11 Russian boxers who qualified for Rio de Janeiro Olympics have been given the all-clear to compete at the Games following confirmation from the International Olympic Committee. International Boxing Association said that it had been notified of the decision by the IOC's three-member panel responsible for reviewing the eligibility of all the Russian athletes who are approved by the international federations. Now, these are the first athletes to be cleared by the panel. The IOC opted not to ban all the Russian athletes from the Rio Olympics after revelations of a state-backed doping program across many sports. Police used stun grenades and tear gas to clear protesters in the path of the Olympic torch in the poor suburb of Rio de Janeiro, just a day before South America's first Olympic Games opened under tight security. Police said anti-government protesters in the town threw rocks and blocked the torch's path. Police dispersed them with pepper spray and rubber bullets. 3 people were injured by bullets, including a 10-year-old girl. Olympic and Wimbledon champion Andy Murray has been chosen to carry the flag for Great Britain at Friday's Rio de Janeiro's 2016 opening ceremony. Murray was picked ahead of the likes of boxer Nicola Adams and rower Catherine Granger. He is the first tennis player to fill the role. That's all in this edition of news. Thanks for watching.